I, the second-born son of Prince Vida, as Grand Inquisitor, do condemn you. And as your brother, I repudiate you. Too many evil deeds have you done to satisfy your monstrous love for that serf of the devil, Igor Yavutic. May God have pity on your soul. Cover her face with the mask of Satan.
Horror Italiano.
Welcome to Horror Italiano. I am Joe the psychologist, and of course, my brother in crime, my beer brother, Ricky Van. What's going on? You ready for some Horror Italiano?
What's up, my man, Joe the psychologist? This is my favorite time of the month, Horror Italiano. And guess what, my brother? We got another good one today.
In this episode, we're going to be discussing Black Sunday, released in 1960, also known as La Maschera del Demonio, or The Mask of Satan. It is written and directed by Mario Bava. This is his directorial debut. And it stars Barbara Steele as Asa Vajda and John Richardson as Dr. Andrzej Gorobec and Arturo Dominici as Igor Javutic. Decades after being executed for witchcraft, Asa and Igor are resurrected and begin a bloody campaign to possess the body of Asa's beautiful look-alike Princess Katia. Interestingly enough, it kind of threw me off, I'm not gonna lie, the beginning of the movie, because you get introduced to Asa, who is a witch and is put to death by her brother for witchcraft. And this is where we get the Mask of Satan. Did you get the connection?
Katia represents the physical reincarnation of Aja. When Aja was put to death and the cold opened by her brother, she pretty much placed a curse on his entire bloodline. Fast forward 2 centuries later, now Prince Vaja has a family, has a son, Constantine, and he has a daughter, Princess Katia. Katia, like I said, is a dead ringer. Pretty much, like I mentioned, a physical reincarnation, a look-alike to a T to Aja. So now it's time for her to return and she pretty much wants to take her life force and revive herself in her image. So that's pretty much the connection between the two. Now, to answer your question, no, I didn't really figure it out at first because, like you, once Katia appeared outside the family crypt, I thought that was already Aja, like already regenerated. I'm like, holy shit, that was quick. I thought maybe, is it a ghost or is that really her? But then she's talking about her father, Prince Vaja and Constantine, she's talking about her family. And then, oh, okay, now I understand the plot. So it wasn't too difficult to figure it out. How about you? Did you connect the dots?
I didn't, because when she popped up, she had 2 scary dogs with her.
Yeah.
So when I saw the 2 dogs, I'm like, yup, that's a witch and her familiars.
It reminded me of Harley Quinn and her hyenas.
Yeah, so I already thought that, as you said, she's alive. And then when they're in the house and you've got, the painting of Asa and the painting of Igor, and the way she reacts to it, it's like trying to keep attention away from the painting so nobody recognizes that it's her, so I felt like it was a whole time was like this misdirection. And then you get the story of the fact that, this is a curse, and she actually had tried it, a century before it didn't succeed. So now here we are another century later, it's the day coming up. Asa tried to come back, it didn't work. So now here we are, and I guess the curse must be every century that she has the opportunity to try to come back, and there's someone that's born that looks like her, which is basically the curse that Katya now has. Katya didn't necessarily act like a Disney princess or, that she was a little creepy. Like there was like the way that she just looked at things and she reacted towards stuff. She was awkward. And I guess maybe she's different. So I'm making fun of a different person. It's not at that. It's literally how the character behaved. There was blood in her eyes, basically, as she's slowly regenerating. And then you get the eyeball like actually forming, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
1960.
1960, probably an optical effect. Mario Bava is a master at like special effects. And I don't mean like, special effects in 2024. I mean like back in 1960, everything was all optical illusions for the most part. That's why we talked about it in the previous video in Inferno, why Dario Argento brought him in, because this guy was a master at not just like directing, but cinematography and framing and optical effects in camera. He was a master at that.
In order to separate this, there's a curse on them, and there's a certain way that the curse can be ended. And this pretty much has like Mario Bava's signature for almost all his movies. Not all, that's an exaggeration. But yeah, let's talk about this curse. In horror movies, when it comes to a curse, or, if you're infected, there's always stabbing or sometimes cutting off of things. And in this one, it's a fucking eyeball, and I want to say some of the Mario stuff we've already done, there have been kills involving eyeballs. So this, he using the eyeball as a way to break a curse, I think is the first time I heard it. And I've seen a few movies involving witchcraft, and usually it's, from my honest recollection, I don't ever recall that a witch's curse can be broken by stabbing the eyeball, and basically ending the curse. And when they end up, getting the doctor after they find him in there and they stab him in the eye, you can hear him screaming because I guess his soul is being freed. Again, 1960, that's something I haven't seen in any other movies. If you can recall, let me know. But yeah, I thought the using the eyeball as a way of breaking a curse, releasing whoever's been cursed, is kind of pretty fucking cool. And again, with the fucking eyeballs.
Because Dracula came out not too long before this film, so they wanted to have a way to kill the monster permanently, and they didn't want to do the whole stake through the heart. So they were probably thinking, well, just stick him through the eyeball. And it has to be the left eyeball too, right? They said their left eye.
Oh yeah. It was very specific.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because when you had mentioned curse, I completely forgot about you. I guess I misunderstood. You were talking about breaking it as far as ending it through an impalement of the eyeball. I was more thinking about the fact that this whole thing started because when Aja and her companion were both killed. By the way, that mask of death, getting that shit like sledgehammered into your fucking face was fucking brutal, son. So what happens is when they are killed, before they are burned at the stake, it begins to rain, so they can't burn them. So they're forced to bury them, and Aja goes into the family crypt, allowing their physical bodies to still remain, and hence allowing them to return 2 centuries later. And now the curse is finally broken the way I took it when they finally, fast forwarding to the end of the film here, she's burned at the stake finally, and that ends everything. That's how I took originally the end of the curse. I completely forgot that, yeah, you had to stick him to the fucking left eyeball.
Fucking eyeball. I guess burning is the one way to do it.
Yeah.
But it was sticking in the freaking eyeball.
So when Kuvajan all of a sudden like becomes this zombie, and he's like, he goes in, he murders the prince over here, which I wish they would have showed what the fuck he did to him, but they never did. So I'm led to believe he crawled back into the actual crypt that Javutic came out of his grave to sleep during the day so he could return at night. And then when they found him, the father just put the fucking stake through his eye. And like you mentioned here, in the distance, like it's funny. I just found it hilarious. Like This motherfucker killed the prince, and he went back to sleep in someone else's coffin. Like, what the fuck?
Well, he was basically under the spell.
Obviously,
Asa, and Igor was helping along.
Yeah, because Igor was resurrected telepathically when Aja was trying to get her life force back.
After her mask came off.
Yeah.
She slowly started coming
What
back.
an idiot. This guy takes the mask off of this fucking witch. Like, dude, are you serious?
Yeah. If it looks like that shit got nailed down, there is a reason. Don't remove it.
And the fact that it was because of a bat. A vampire bat, let's call it. He smashes the window, smashes the cross that's preventing, the witch from returning. He just fucked everything.
Yeah. That's like, it's like the clumsiest person without knowing how clumsy you were, that you just walked in and you fucked shit up. So I thought it was really cool when you saw the transformation. This is 1960, and this movie was lacking one thing, and that was color. Because I think this is the oldest movie, at least our series has covered so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying for the channel, but
yeah,
I'll have to look.
I think so for the channel.
For the channel as a whole.
Before this was Night of the. Oh no, I think GR and Radar did House, which is an older film. I don't recall the date on that, but we did Night of the Living Dead for Brains and Brews, which is 67, I think that was, if I'm not mistaken. So this is 60. So at least for me and you.
This is for me and you. We'll have to look and see if the channel, because that's pretty cool. Because we're basically broadening you guys' horizon on even these old movies you might not have known about. But the one thing about this movie, 1960, it had no color. However, a little fun fact here is that it was in the 1960s that colors started getting introduced into films. So Mario's first movie that he did was black and white. And from here on out, he was given the ability to have color to play with. So I like that. And, for some people, they might, put the movie on, oh man, it's black and white. Like for you, would you like to have seen this movie in color, or were you happy the black and white masterpiece that it was?
No color. This film drips atmosphere in every nook and cranny, bro. This is like Halloween come to life. Like when I was a kid watching this, I don't know what it was. It reminded me so much of my childhood growing up. The nostalgia was hitting me because when I was young and I'm watching TV like during Halloween season, this is the kind of stuff I would see on TV, whether it was commercials or actual older films. And it was just something about it, man. Not just the black and white color, but because they're forced to shoot in black and white, and not just forced to shoot in black and white, but forced to shoot in a very low budget with like no computers. This is way before computers, no CGI whatsoever. So they got to take advantage of everything at their disposal to make it work. Like Bava, again, he's also a very established cinematographer. So you can see he plays with the foreground a lot. So the foreground plays into this film, adding so much dimension into what's going on, because it creates a living, breathing world. So it's just not like shot for shot, and the camera movements as well, because the way he plays with camera, it don't cut from like scene to scene. If he's gonna go for one shot and cut to another scene, it don't just cut. The camera slowly pans over and transitions into the next scene somehow. And even, here's another good one for you. When the doctor, when Prince Vaja when the prince was in his deathbed essentially, in shock, and that walking zombie, Javutic, comes in, and he grabs a cross and shoots him away. You don't see Igor run. The camera pushes back and then pushes forward, and you see the door just open and he's gone. But the way the camera kind of dictated the movement and how fast he got out of there, that was fucking brilliant, the way that was shot. And the black and white only adds to it, man. Like, the atmosphere in this movie was just incredible, bro. The black and white gave an ominous sense of dread around every corner. It's a perfect sign of filmmaking during a time when you don't have access to computers and CGI. You know what I mean? So they're forced to do something with nothing. And to me, that's why older films excel. They are backed into this corner where they got to get more creative on how they're going to establish all of their shots. Because they can't just rely on computers. Everything is in camera. And that's what's beautiful about this movie. And that black and white, that sense of dread. And the fact that when we got the princess, right, Katya, and you got Asa, these two characters, the way they are shot in is black and white. Credit to Barbara Steele too, because she played both characters completely different. Katya is like this sad and depressed, lonely character. You can see it in her eyes. That's why the younger doctor, Gorobek, that's why Gorobek kind of fell for her. He even said it. She seems like the sadness in her eyes. But then Aja is played with like this stern, evil, and like just like demented look on her face, and her actions very conniving. So, and again, the black and white plays heavily into the performances in this film as well, man. I don't want no color, man. Stick to that black and white, because this is definitely a Halloweeny, spooktacular fucking film, because it reminds me of a time when I was younger, and a time where everything was more like creepy, because it felt organic. And that's what the black and white brings to the table.
The black and white is gothic. It is. And as you said, when I was watching it, because it was a first watch for me.
Me too.
I sat there with the feels. I felt like I was, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 during Halloween on a Sunday back home in Connecticut on a cold night.
Right?
Where you're like, watching these old movies.
That's what I was trying to get at. You're right.
Yeah, like the movie, for anyone who grew up watching black and white, like that, like you got that feeling from this movie. You weren't just watching any black and white. Like this fit into, and even though it's Italian, it had the, like Southern goth, as far as like, that's why it had the gothic feeling to it. When her eyes were reforming and you saw the pools of blood, like if you would have had color, you would have saw the red, but what I saw was like deep, dark red.
Darkness.
Like darkness was forming. Like I knew that it was blood. I didn't need to see the vibrancy of the blood, because it not having any color, it actually showed that there's darkness is rising from this. I mean, I'm a sucker for a black and white movie. I'm not gonna lie. I correlate, and Adam, my husband, can vouch for this. Like on a Sunday when you're home, and especially on a rainy day, you want to put something on. Sometimes watching a black and white classic is just a great palate cleanser to what we're all used to, because they relied on, as you said, it's limited for them. They didn't have CDGI. They didn't have computer. They didn't have, the cameras were totally different from movies as far as aesthetically wise preserved from those times. Black and whites don't look crappy. When you see the early color stuff, like now they look crappy compared to now. So black and white still translates. And again, it could be the TVs too. This shit looked crisp on my TV when I was watching.
Every shot of this film was beautiful, man.
It was. But on a Sunday, it's raining. Either you want to have, soup and crackers or a hot toddy. When his butler said, "Don't let your toddy get cold," I was like, I wonder how many people know what a hot toddy is.
I'll be honest, I have no idea what that is.
You don't know? See,
what is it for? I'm curious.
It's just a warm alcoholic drink, but for some people was used medicinal. However, on a cold day, it was an alcohol that was drank warm.
Brother, when you mention alcohol, the two doctors got pretty fucking ripped in that fucking end, bro.
And he still left the bottle. I gotta say.
He was gonna pour the last. He's like, no. And he just walks out. All right,
Take that
take
shit.
it with
I
you,
would have
bro.
took it with me. Like there
Take
was
it
a whole
with-
lot still left. And I looked in there. I'm like, there's about like 4 shots left in that fucking bottle.
Bro, I do want to talk about like that manservant, the butler. What was his name? Ivan? Yeah, Ivan, whatever his name. This guy he looked like such a caricature because when he was talking to Prince Vaja from the side, he had that big ass fucking nose, bro. He looked like somebody like the spirit of '76 or something, bro. I was like, he was all over the fucking place until he was fucking killed. I think he was hanged, right? This guy.
Yeah.
They hung him. The camera work was amazing, and there's one scene here in particular where the camera work kind of panned to one particular shot that I thought about you, bro. The fucking frog. The random frog, bro. I'm like, Joe.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, really? We even threw one of these in there?
They had a frog in there just for you, brother.
I understood that, girl. That is a long ass way to get some milk, okay? Like,
oh, with the cow? Yeah, she was like, I ain't going no
Mom, what kind of path did you build to get to the, like, couldn't you just go straight? Because, Mom, you went
that shit was
zigzag. It was the longest way to get there. I would have totally been the girl going, no, just spank me and send me upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't have to eat tomorrow.
Yeah. Bro, I love the opening to this film. The Inquisition themed imagery that was used throughout. And I knew, or not just me, but you know it's an Italian film by that close-up of that branding when they branded him with the mark Satan. The way it just peeled and burned into the skin of Aja and it pulled out. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is definitely an Italian film, which is interesting because the two of the main characters, including Barbara Steele, are British. They're not Italian, so that's different as far as you normally get the American guys that Joe hates when they dub them with the overly obnoxious Italian voices. There was one hilarious scene in this. I gotta admit when the original character that the prince sent out to get, well, not the prince, but Constantine, I think, the son of the prince.
He's Katya's brother.
He sent the guy to look for the doctor, but I guess he was intercepted, by Igor, killed, and dumped in the river. And when they found him, they had that somebody was like, like, I don't know, they said something like, where's he from or whatever, and someone was like, the river, can't you see he's dead? But like, no shit, he's dead. But the way it's the way he just said that shit.
It was, yeah, I picked up on that one.
The movie never had cheesy dialogue up until that point. And I thought that was hilarious. It didn't take me out of the film, but it made me realize, okay, yeah, this is an Italian film.
It was the last word it said at that point, too. It was the river, and then you go to, our next scene.
Yeah. Prince Vada was reincarnated, right? Just to get killed all over again. Again, I was like, damn. All right, what was the point? But that was hilarious. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got. Barbara Steele was amazing in this. Like I said, her dual roles, she played them both completely different. Apparently, she was very hard to work with, though, on set. She didn't want to, have her cleavage showing too much, and she was always complaining about her wigs. But she did go on to cite, looking back on her career, this is probably like her best film that she's ever made. Not the one that she feels strongest in her performance, but as far as being in a film, this film is it's a classic film. This movie, I've my first time seeing it, but I've always heard Italian films, not just Italian, but 100 horror films you need to see before you die. And this film, Black Sunday, is on that list. Now I know why. It's a beautiful fucking movie. It oozes atmosphere, man. That's all I gotta say. You mentioned it perfectly. When you're younger, you throw on the TV during Halloween season, and this is the kind of shit that was always on TV. And this took me back when I saw it, man. So I was like, yes, I love this fucking movie, man. I saw it. I'll be honest, I saw it twice. I saw it twice, man.
We're supposed to be doing that.
I broke the rule.
I know.
Yeah, I had to see it again, man. This movie's fun.
In defense of the actress who played Katya, she was not great with Italian. So she had a hard time understanding him. So that was one of the things that, as far as they're saying, it was hard for her to work with. The cleavage part, yes, but we're talking about 1960, and we're used to what we see now. I mean, when you watch, Scream, they talk about here's your, the money shot of that. We're used to this, but not back then.
Yes, how strange was Gorebeck just opening up her cleavage a little bit when she was passed out? I'm like, come on, bro, what are you doing? What's going on?
Well, and it kind of you got the cross.
Yeah. Yes.
But I guess
about that. We did forget the cross repels, and that's how at the end he was able to figure out that it wasn't Aja. Oh, Aja wasn't the one that he thought it was. She tried to do a switcheroo on him. Yep. He knew, the cross is on her. It has no effect. This is Katya. She's fuckable.
Well, and the other part is that the painting had kept changing. So one of the last paintings, Asa was naked. So the actress thought that Mario was going to have her be naked, and she locked herself in the room. And they were like, no, that's not what the plan was, because she saw the new painting.
The US and other foreign countries loved it, but the Italians did not like this film at all. It was only until later when they received cult status and then went back, wait a minute. We got something here.
With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have not seen this movie, it is currently available on Prime as well as AMC Plus or Shudder. Make sure to tune in. Check out, as Rick and I are basically doing this tour through Italian horror. We want you guys to join us for this ride because we're having a good time and want to introduce you guys to new movies. And of course, we have another new one coming up. It's going to be a first watch for me. It is another Bava movie, and it is A Bay of Blood.
I believe it's a slasher, if I'm not mistaken. I've never seen it either. So.
Me either. But I think it is a slasher. I think it is slasher. If it's not, I guess we'll tell you guys we found out it wasn't a slasher.
We'll find out. I can't wait.
So make sure to tune in. Support Italian horror cinema. Check out these movies. I promise you're missing out on something spectacular. Until next time.
Hey, Avi! It's I who repudiate you. And in the name of Satan, I place a curse upon you. Go ahead. Tie me down to the stake, but you will never escape my hunger nor that of Satan.